yeah, we're going to build a no-code job board. So there's two different users for this app. It's the person who's searching for a job, but it's also the companies who are trying to hire and they want to post their job listings. And as you can see, we'll go into the design in a little bit more detail in just a second, but there's kind of a searching detective Sherlock Holmes type theme going on. So we needed, we needed a kind of a witty, catchy name like Elementary or Indeed or something like that for our job board. And when we looked it up, it turns out Indeed was already taken for a job app. So I went ahead and kind of hibernicized it a little bit, and now it's called To Be Sure. So in To Be Sure, in our job board app, we are going to categorize or identify ourselves as either somebody who's searching for a job or who's posting a job. So when you're searching for a job, we go off to Airtable, we get all the information that we have here. So I've got a couple of jobs here from Airtable and from Figma and from Thunkable, and these are live on their sites at the moment. And yeah, you can jump in here and you can see kind of a little image of where you would be working, what type of role it is, a description of the role, and so on and so forth. So yeah, jobs in New York and San Francisco and Austin and stuff. And my goal, I guess, for the next 45 minutes or so is to kind of walk you through the process of how we design this. Paul is going to talk to you about the kind of back-end architecture of how you set it up in Airtable, and then I'm going to go and like connect the UI in Thunkable to Airtable, and we're going to see how we can like create jobs and post listings and all of those good things. So yeah, I'm going to start actually in Figma. You could do this with a piece of pen and paper, but would highly recommend that when you're building an app, whether it's for school or for work or whatever it is, I know that Matt mentioned about using it in an educational setting, you want to just draw out your user flow. So like I said, there's two cases here. You're either looking for a job or you're an employer who wants to post a job. And one thing that we've kind of skipped in for the sake of time in this webinar is like this idea of setting up a user profile, so getting the person's name and their company logo and all of that good stuff. And we've just jumped straight into that list of jobs like you saw. If you are interested in learning how to create a user profile and generate a sign-up page, we have tutorials about this on our YouTube channel and in our documentation, and you can watch those, and they will show you kind of how to do that. So yeah, what we want to do is show user a list of jobs. You want to be able to click on a job and show more details like we saw there, and then apply there where it takes you off to the web page, and that's the kind of the exit point there if you're searching for a job. And then yeah, there's a couple of different options here if you're a company and you want to post your vacancies that you have at the moment. Yeah, again, you can set up new postings, you can edit, you can update, and you can delete. And again, that's the kind of the benefit or the advantage of using something like Airtable, is that you've got all of those CRUD operations. You can create a new posting, you can edit it, you can delete it, all of those kind of things there. So I worked in conjunction with Quentin then, who is our designer at Thunkable, and this is where we came up with our kind of initial designs. So our screen, the kind of where you categorize yourself as a job searcher or job poster, and then we're going to look in at those kind of detail pages and our data viewer pages and all of those good things. So at this point, once we have kind of a detailed design, and this is something you could do up yourself, you can remix some of the Figma templates that are out there, or yeah, I would highly recommend or highly yeah, advocate for working with a professional designer, because you'll get a really high quality design. You can go ahead and strip out any of the dynamic information here out of your Figma design. So when you're ready to pull all of this into Thunkable, you want to keep all these static elements, your illustrations, your color scheme, your buttons, all of that kind of stuff, anything that's going to be static on the page. And then anything that's dynamic here, so like our data viewer, that's a Thunkable component, so that's a simple drag and drop operation. Similarly here, our job listing, we're going to have text inputs, and that's information that will constantly change. And so yeah, what we can do here is create a new Thunkable project. Here we've got one screen at the moment, it doesn't really do anything. In our asset then, we're going to just copy and paste in our link to Figma. If it's your first time doing this, you might have to just authenticate with Figma and let them know that you're importing your own design. I've done that already. And so I'm going to import the screens there that you saw in the Figma design. And again, it's a pretty quick process. And then once it comes into the platform, you're able to use all of the drag and drop features and functionality that we have. So we can zoom out there. So all of the screens there that we had in Thunkable are now available, accessible, and editable directly here as a no code or low code app. Let me just reorder some of these screens. Let me put the landing page at the beginning. We want to do where we're searching or posting, and this is where we want to put in our data viewer as well. So if this is the first one of these webinars that you've attended, in webinar 1 with No Code Devs, we actually, the first thing that we did was work with this data viewer component that Thunkable has. And yeah, I'd recommend then that if you're kind of unfamiliar with this, go to the No Code Devs website, check out the first webinar we did, and we show you how to set up a custom data viewer. So let me just put in a little placeholder for myself here so that we're ready to go. That should do the job. We can add, this is where we're going to connect to Airtable, so that's the main kind of feature for today. And yeah, some of these pieces of information then, these are dynamic, so we're going to just take out our placeholder image. Let's do it like this, drag and drop in an image component. Hopefully you're able to see okay. Again, let me know in the chat if this is kind of moving a little bit too quickly, or if you're not able to hear anything like that. Everybody seems quite happy at the moment. We're going to get rid of this placeholder label, and this is going to be like our job type, I think, when we get it back from Airtable. So we'll rename that really quickly, label location, and this is our job type here. So you know, whether it's a full-time role or a contracting role or anything like that, we can specify that in our Airtable. Paul will have a quicker look at that in a minute, closer look at that in a minute. So label job type, and you know, we could spend a little bit of time tweaking and finessing this, but there isn't really an enormous amount that we need to do. So let me just pop in my description label here like this. Okay, and yeah, great, glad to hear I'm coming in nice and loud and clear. And the biggest challenge, I suppose, with this app or this this project is getting the information from the user and sending it over to Airtable. So yeah, maybe we'll just to flag that at the moment, but we're going to need a way to, like we have here, go back to our original design, have a kind of a form, an input form like this, that can take information, dynamic information from the user, and send that over to Airtable as well. Yeah, absolutely. We'll send out, or Art will send out a recording, and then I can send you on project links and Figma files and anything like that that might be useful or helpful to you in rebuilding or recreating this project for yourself. Yeah, okay, so let's really quickly look at the data viewer, because that's a kind of a quick win for us, I think, to get it connected, and that will tee us up nicely to go and talk to Paul, I suppose, and see, you know, what we can do on the Airtable side. So we're going to quickly. So these are the data sources that are supported natively by Thunkable. If you need an offline mobile app, which a lot of people do, you can create your own local table, like a very simple kind of spreadsheet, and you can store data in the app natively, so there's no need for a connection to the cloud. Most people, I suppose, nowadays will have access to the internet, or most of the time will be able to at least go and fetch data, you know, once a day or once an hour, whatever it is. And so we have 3 different cloud providers there. Hopefully everybody is familiar with Google Sheets. I know a lot of people are kind of Webflow users, and obviously the focus for this evening is the integration that we have here directly with Airtable, so I can show you how easy it is to connect a Thunkable project to an Airtable base. Maybe just let me know in the chat then if you're a user or a fan of any of these other ones, so Airtable, Sheets, Webflow, and let me know what the audience is like. Are there Webflow users here tuning in this evening? Are there any Google Sheets users tuning in? It'd be great to know. So to connect, all you need to do, grab your API key. I'm going to copy it like that and paste it in here. I will change my key after the recording, and all I have to do then is choose my base. So I've created one here called Job Board, and it's quite simple. It's not as powerful as the one Paul is going to show to us, but I want to choose the card or the presentation for this, yeah, so I'm going to have to very quickly share this project with myself, I think. Yeah, but just in terms of setting this up, here, yeah, what it looks like. I'm just using two different accounts here. I'm gonna choose, yeah, this custom one here. So like I say, if you didn't see the first webinar we did with No Code Devs, I would recommend you go to the website and check out the first webinar where we show you how to set up these custom data viewers. And what you can do then is connect it then to the image is going to connect to like our company logo. The job title label is going to grab the job title, and so on and so forth, like that. So you're able to grab all that information. All of these values here that you see with the little icons beside them, these are all the corresponding rows or fields in Airtable. So yeah, I'm kind of talking around Airtable at the moment. I want to jump over to this one here and pass it over to Paul for a couple of minutes and kind of just to talk through how our idea behind setting up the Airtable here and what we did. Is that all right, Paul?
Cheers for that, Domhnall. Yeah, so for this Airtable base, we decided to go quite simple. As you can see from this, I don't know how many people are Airtable users, but it is quite straightforward. It's a bit like Google Sheets initially, but after that, it's so much more on top of that. So we use this base, we use Airtable for our base for no code devs. We connect it through Zapier and it goes through from there. So as you can see, it's pretty straightforward. What we've done here is we've done the first section is the titles, got all these sections, company name, description, location. Just scroll across, please, Domhnall. So job type, live. So the live button, this is quite straight. This is basically what it's going to send it to Thunkable, to the front end. So this, tick that button there, that's what sends it across. And date created, that comes from, that's a formula. That's a very straightforward formula. One of the cool things you can do with Airtable is create formulas, and this is a quite straightforward formula. You just create time, and that's it. That's all you need, and that comes through perfect every time. Now, what I've done here as well, after the closing date, is the Twitter text. Now, what the idea behind this was, basically, if you want to create a Twitter message about a job post coming through, you could write in there, and the formula next to it, text limit, it just adds up. And if it's 260 characters, I think it is now for Twitter, and if it breaks that much, it goes over the limit and goes under the limit. And that's quite straightforward formula as well, which I will show. We can always share this space with people after the event. Now on the left here is on the left all the positions closing the views. Sorry. Yeah. Views. So this is one of the powerful things about Airtable is that you can see all the different kind of views. Is the closing next week? Is obviously closing next week. These are all the incomplete jobs. And how you sort these out is based on the filter bit at the top. So you click on the filter section at the top there, and this is anything that's missing or sending things missing, anything data is missing will pop up on there. So then you can make sure that you get all the data in, because the last thing you want on your Thunkable front end is gaps in your information. And all the rest is quite straightforward. There's also a calendar view, which is really cool as well. So you can see when the jobs are coming out and when the closing date is. On the left at the bottom there, Domhnall. At the bottom. No, up a bit. There we go. Sorry, my internet's pretty poor today, so Domhnall's using Domhnall's connection.
These ones, was it, Paul? Sorry.
Yeah, that one there, calendar.
Oh, there we go. Sorry. Yeah.
There we go. So this is where the end dates are. So these are when all the end dates are coming through, and that's so you can see it, visualize that information quite straightforward, quite easily. Now, what you can also do with this is with Airtable, if you click on automations on the top right, Domhnall.
Here we go.
You can post to Twitter, straight to Twitter. And that's what that Twitter box was all about. So when recording, so if you click on the box there, so when I record matches conditions. So when record matches conditions, so it's got a tick next to it. And then what it will do is post to Twitter. So you click on the Twitter one underneath. So you put your conditions in there. Then after that, you can put your Twitter account in, and you can write your message. and that will come from the message board, the Twitter text message we created earlier. And you can do lots of anything. All this is completely free, by the way. One of the amazing things about Airtable is what is free, what you get for the free package. So all this is free. It's 10,000 records it can create. You can send to Slack. You can create a new record. These automations are all completely free as well. I think you can do something like 100 automations per month. So it's not like Zapier, but it is quite in depth what you can do. And this is your backend. And so we use this for our no-code devs backend, and it is huge what you can do for free. It's amazing. I think we've kind of covered it there, Domhnall. Is there anything else you want me to go over?
Perfect. Yeah, no, just like kind of want to just dig into these automations now. They look so interesting, like the idea that, yeah, if you're in your no-code devs team and you get, an incoming record in Airtable, that could be sent as a notification to you in Slack, or this idea of being able to hear, look like you can link with Google Calendar. Like it seems really, really powerful.
Yeah, so that's what we do it in web for no-code devs. So as soon as we get a message on our forms coming in, it goes into the Airtable base through Zapier, and it messages through Slack in the Airtable. So it saves you time on saves you things on Zapier as well on your. So it is really, really powerful. And so this is all free as well. These sections here are all free. It is limited, obviously, the free bit, and the paid version is unbelievable. Like, the free bit is still pretty.
Yeah, it is enough to be dangerous and certainly enough to get started with, and like that, as we're going to see today, like enough to build even like a kind of a two-sided job board app where you can have job seekers and job posters and stuff like so. There seems to be a lot in it, right?
Yeah, it is amazing. It's probably the best tool I use. One of the biggest tool I use. It's just so versatile, and the thing you can get for free is just amazing.
Yeah, and maybe just to call out from a Thunkable user's perspective, I think one of the things that our users really like, in addition to being able to use this formula and filters and that kind of thing, is that you can attach an image right here and pull that down into your app. Whereas when you want to do this with something like Google Sheets, typically that involves a third party then, so you're either hosting it in Google Drive or hosting it on Cloudinary or something, and you're just posting the link to that asset. Whereas here with Airtable, everything just lives in the one base, and I think that's why Thunkable users kind of like this integration, because they can just use Thunkable and Airtable, and they can get images and they can get links and they can get all of that good stuff there in their app.
Yeah, great. So I use one at the minute, and it uses invoices, and it saves invoices on it, and I can send those off quite easily.
Nice. Yeah, and we'll be curious then, just keeping an eye on the chat here. Has anybody used Airtable before? We'd love to know what your kind of use cases have been for it. And obviously, from my own perspective, I'd love to know, have you ever put a mobile app on top of an Airtable base? Have you built anything for Android or for iOS or anything like that? Let us know kind of what your Airtable experience is, and anything else there on Airtable, Paul, or we try and connect the two of these now?
Well, the one thing that we just added recently is the interfaces, which is a visual way to see your data. It is only in the infancy at the minute. Well, that is completely free as well. You can make graphs out of it and stuff like that as well. It's just really straightforward to make, but it really is quite in its infancy. As you can see here, this is what it looks like, the back end kind of thing. We can add extra bits. You can add circled pie charts. You can add different kind of charts. For more information in it, it really goes out. But at the minute, it's only just been released about 3 weeks ago, so it is quite basic at the minute, but it is still really cool. And that's an extra little thing you can do with it.
Nice one to have in your back pocket. Nice one to know about, because Airtable for a long time, I guess, has had forms. So you've been able to like collect data through the web, but just by sending out a form, like a Google form or a type form. But this is the other side of it, right? This is kind of like reporting as well. So you're pulling data from it, or you could be showing pictures or charts or whatever it is here. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Because on the Google Sheet, on the Airtable base bit, it's not really that clear, not really that visual. While this one makes the information a lot more visual and a lot easier to understand quickly.
Yeah, sounds awesome. And yeah, the automations for me, I think, are the next one that I need to explore anyway, just to level up my Airtable abilities. Certainly not using
Yeah,
it to the
yeah.
fullest of its abilities.
Stuff like that with a couple of formulas. What I've got as well, I'll send a course out to people. It's the Essential Guide to Airtable, and I'll link
Nice.
that to you when we send the email out, because it is a really, really good guide. It's really straightforward videos, and it just gives you the basics.
Super, thanks a million, Paul. That sounds great. Yeah, yeah. I wouldn't mind having a read of that myself as well. And yeah, so from the Thunkable perspective, yeah, let me just jump in here really quickly, I guess, and take a quick detour from our scheduled programming. Here we go, I think. So one feature of Thunkable that I wasn't planning on showing you, but here we are anyway, is the ability to share projects with one another. So I have my demo app here on one account. I can copy this link, and I'm going to jump into my personal account here. And I'm going to copy it over so we can work with this custom data viewer. So like I say, if you missed episode 1, yeah. Have a look on the No Code Devs website, or maybe even Arthur Paul might throw up a link there in the chat to that first one where we showed how to use this. So we want to call this, actually, let's get rid of. No, I think this is okay. And type and title, and we can get rid of location. Okay, so we can save all of this as a custom data viewer layout. This is my job board layout here, that. And what happens then is when you create a custom layout like this, it's accessible, or it's available in every other Thunkable project then that you have. So I'll do a quick reload here, a quick refresh, and I'll be able to connect everything together. Thanks a million, Art, for that. Yeah. So here we go. Okay, so we've got our data viewer here. We're bound to my job board Airtable here. We've got different. You can have different tables. I think I want these approved jobs, and then the view that I want is this new one here that I've created here as well. Sweet. So my image is going to be my logo. You can see the logo start appearing. The title is going to be the job title, I suppose. The date. I think we have a date column here as well for when it opens or closes. I don't have another image, and I don't have a rate, but oh yeah, job type, role type, and yeah, where are we going here? This will do anyway. You get the idea here. So basically, if we do a quick preview, we are able to connect all of the information from Airtable. So that lives here. No, this lives here. Excuse me. We've got title and company name and location, and we've got these attachments here that I mentioned were so easy to work with. We've got all of those, and we're displaying them here in this table form. And we want people to be able to click this and to go to the view listing screen here at the moment. And so this is kind of just our placeholder. And yeah, we've covered kind of a good bit of that in the past, but let's just take one more look, I guess. So here, when we search listings, let's start at the start, I guess. Just assume that people are completely new to Thunkable. So we have this button, this enter button here. When somebody clicks on the enter button, we want to take them to the user type screen. So we navigate to our user type screen, and on user types then we have two different buttons. We have our search and we have our post, and yeah, we want to, when they click the post, we'll go to the post listings like that. Go to post listings, and you can use all your favorite keyboard shortcuts. Everybody has favorites, Control C and Control V, and like that we are going to view listings. No, we're going to search listings. Sorry, there you go. So next one is search listings, and then on search listings, this is where it gets kind of interesting now. So when you click on an item, what happens when you click on an item in your data viewer? So we want to be able to, we get the row ID of the item that was clicked. That's all of these things here. So we've got row 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like that. And if we click on, let's say, this IT support specialist role, that's row number 4 in Airtable. We want to be able to grab all of the details, all of the particulars about that, and we want to send those to the next screen. So we're going to create a quick variable here for ourselves called, let's zoom in here a small bit and make it easier to see. Let's call this selected row. And when the user clicks on something, we'll set our selected row to be the row ID, and that allows us to pass the values back and forth between screens. And then all we want to do, let's just keep it nice and simple, is navigate to our view listing screen. So we're going from this screen here to our detail screen. That's this one here as well. So we want to grab the image from Airtable, we want to grab the company name, we want to grab the job title name, all of those kind of things here as well. So let's just pop those in. So they're just like little placeholders. Let's pop this one here, like so. This is going to be our job title, and this is going to be our company name here. I have that. Business name, get rid of that there. Reason then I'm just deleting these and adding in new ones is that these are just like placeholder values that have come over from Airtable with me. So label, company name, and our location. I've got that, and I've got our job type. We've got those already, so that's your, whether it's like full-time, part-time, etc. And then we've got our description label there, and I think we're all set now. We're good to go. So when this screen opens, we want to talk to Airtable. We want to ask Airtable for the information that we just clicked on from the previous page. So when the screen starts, we are going to use our data sources here. So because it's a native mobile app, you get access to speech recognizer, sound component, camera component, all those good things. And we're going to get the row object based on the selected row from the previous page. Yeah, let's create one more variable for that. Why not? It'll make our lives a little bit easier. So we can have a job object, and this just comes back in kind of like JSON format. So it's pretty straightforward to use. Even if you're not familiar with it, you'll see the kind of patterns emerge quite quickly with the blocks here. So we get this job object, and then what we want to do is get a couple of those properties and display them in these labels. So here, my job title text, I'm going to use one of our built-in object blocks, and I think it's actually just called job title. We can double check that in a second. And what object do we want to get the job title from? Well, we've just created it. It's this one here called our job object. So I'm going to copy paste that block, and I've got job title. And let me just jump in here. So job, capital J, capital T with a space in the middle. As long as they match, you're good to go. Then underneath that we have our description. So I think that's just called description. And we have, what else do we have? We have a job type. What's that called? That is called, is it just type? Role type there. And yeah, pretty straightforward to set up. Our location then is just, maybe it's address. Let's make sure we're getting the right values anyway, at least. That's called location. And we want to show that image anyway for sure, so we want to get that picture here. And we want to have our, I think I called it a hero image, which is kind of like a web design term, those big banner images that you see along the top of websites. Hero image, like that. And then yeah, and then the last thing then is when this apply button is clicked here, we're going to go ahead and open up the job posting itself. So you can link out to any other URL anywhere in the world. You can also do an element of kind of like deep linking here, so you can have it open up WhatsApp, you can have it open up Google Maps, anything like that. With the property that we want here, I think it's called website. I've called it link in this example here. So we have the link property, like that, and this should bring us to the listing for the job itself. So let's have a test of this. Hopefully I haven't forgotten anything. And yeah, I'm just testing it in the web at the moment, but you can also test it on your device. And if you want, before you're publishing something, you can download it and you can actually install it on any iOS device and any Android device as well. So let's see if there's anybody in the audience that's interested in a BDO job with Thunkable. I've skipped something or I missed something here because I got a few nulls, but I do have the job description here. Let's see if our button works. Not liking that URL anyway. But let's have a quick look here. Property. Let's just compare with my own notes here as well. Here's one I built earlier. Oh, I might be getting it from the wrong things, right? Isn't it? Job board. So these are approved jobs. Okay, that makes sense. So I have to get it from the right. So it gives you access to every table in your base. I was just getting it from the wrong base there, or wrong table, excuse me. So we'll try again. Let's go back to search listings. Let's click on one of these. We've got our picture. We've got our location, job type. We've got our description. I haven't bound that, but we can see the job role up here, and then when we apply, it brings you to the Thunkable careers page, and you can see kind of some of the jobs that are available or that are open at the moment. Cool. Okay. So yeah, and that should work for any of those. That's the whole idea here as well. So I have to get my back button working here on my view listing. What happens when you click the back button? Let's bring them back to the search listings page like this. Like so. Okay. So I think that's all good to go now. So that's the top path of our flow chart that we looked at the beginning. So this route here of like being able to view all the jobs and scroll through the jobs and click on them, and again, it was a very quick operation because one, we had that custom data viewer that we'd prepared, and so kind of the more you use the platform, the more you have things like that kind of ready to use. And then two was that we'd spent kind of a nice bit of time in Figma here ahead of the webinar today, kind of preparing how everything would be laid out and how all our screens would kind of look and appear. So that, rather than taking hours and hours, and obviously wouldn't have been a great use of your time, this took, like you saw at the beginning, just a couple of seconds to import that design, and you're ready to kind of jump into the blocks and add whatever kind of business logic or whatever it is around the different steps or the different flow in the app itself. So the next thing then, and as I mentioned at the beginning, the big challenge I think for us today, and certainly on our timeline, is to get this custom form built out. So if we refer back to our original design, we want to give users like the option of entering a new job, so like job title, company name, job description, all that kind of stuff, and we want to be able to send that up to, we're going to send it back to Airtable, and it's you know, it's a pretty straightforward process. It's very easy to do. You could create a group maybe for the form itself, and then you could create individual rows inside of that if you wanted to. You could just add a label. Actually, another way, let's say, so we've got our job title here, and we've got, you know, we can choose whatever font we want. So in the designs we're using Ubuntu, and we can make it a little bit bolder there as well, like that, and we can have our text input like so. And once you've kind of got one, and that's where the groups were kind of handy, you can use the duplicate feature in Thunkable like this. We can duplicate here. So now we can have job title, and we can have, what was the other one, the company name or something like that. And we can duplicate this text input as well. And we can very easily rename them. So I could go through this for every single one, I suppose, and again, you wouldn't really learn a huge amount from it, but the duplicate feature is very useful once you kind of have a style and you're working from it. It's a nice time saver. So I'm going to just clear out these components here. because we don't really need them. Let's delete that. And delete this one. Yeah, because I want to call out another feature, which actually hopefully is on this account. So yeah, sorry, let's just delete those. I'm going to jump back into this one here really quickly because it looks the same. Okay, so yeah, building out this this screen here. What I can do is I can add a new screen from my saved screens here. So Thunkable gives you the ability to save screens, and like, obviously as the more you use the platform, the more of these kind of saved screens you'll have. So kind of really common things will be like a sign up screen, so like for getting a username and a password. A detail screen, kind of like the data viewer view that we saw a moment ago, where you have pictures and titles and buttons and that sort of stuff, and you want to bind them one at a time, like we did with the object blocks. Checkout screen, obviously a really common one where you've got something that you want to sell within your app, whether it's a digital good or a physical good. So this is something that I can kind of reuse over and over again. And the other one here is this register new user screen, like this. So you can create this. So I've got this register new user screen created in advance, where I'm asking a new user to sign up with their name and their email and their address and their Twitter profile and all that kind of stuff, and choose what sort of device they're using. And we can just recycle this. We can recycle this screen, and we can very quickly and easily then turn it into that sign up screen. So if I'll just go back and forth between the two of these for a second. So we've got like actually I think I'll just go back and forth between these. So we've got our job title, and we've got our description, and we've got our company name, like this. So job title goes in here. And we've got our, so if anybody's any questions on duplicating or saving screens or custom data viewer layouts, do let us know there. So company name, and job description was here, and what else do we want? We obviously need to get a link off them. We need a location, we need a role type here we could do, let's say. We need a link, and what else do we need? We could have a date or something like that as well. We've got a location. Location, address, something like that. Okay, cool. And then the final thing here, I'm going to just really quick. So I've got title, I've got company, cool. I've got description, that'll do. Location, let's just swap these. And link. Let's be like URL or something, right? Yeah, perfect. And then these ones we could have full-time, we could have part-time, we could have like a freelance or something like that. Like that. Cool. Okay, so how do we get the information out of this form? So our user registration. Now this is like submit a new job. Like that. And how do we get that? We have a button here, and we'll just say submit, like that. And here in our blocks, very simple. When the button is pressed, so these are all buttons these are all blocks, excuse me, that have come with my saved screen. So for instance, I'm able to like select one of these role types here, and even though I've changed the title or the text in it, so it used to be the device type, Android, iOS, and other, you're able to really quickly, like the code, the block still works for underneath, so that's a nice one. So button 2 here, when the button is clicked, all we're going to do is go back to our data sources, and we're going to just create a row. This time in the right table. We'll go and get the here text from the title. We'll get some text from our company name. So company. Our location, that's also going to be entered by the user. That's this one here. Our description, that's coming from the description field. Our role type, that's actually going to be the I've got a variable here called device type. So this is going to be full-time, this is going to be part-time, this one is going to be freelance now, like that. So very, very easy then once you have a kind of a template to modify it. So let's get our, it's called device type. Okay, let's maybe rename that as well. So no problem to rename our variables. Thunkable has no issue with that. So this is our role type, like that. Our link value, that's coming from our text input, like this. Our link is our website. And the date and the image, and yeah, that's sort of date format have we got here. So that looks like my format. Okay, so yeah, pretty easy then to use the text block here, and we're going to just join together the day of the month, or the date of the month. It's the day of the month, yeah, and a slash, and then you can, so you can create custom date formats here very easily. I think that's everything we need. So month, and then we've got the month itself, and actually then all we need is the year. And then the last thing then, our hero image. I wonder, did I create an image? I've got a hero here, and I've got a logo here. And so in this scenario, like I say, we kind of skipped over the registration part, which I think happens on one of the first screens. But when you create a new user, you would have a username, you'd have a user email, you might have their company logo, whatever it is. All of those things would be set up in advance. You'd be able to just pull them directly from the app. And kind of the main reason, I suppose, the main restriction that we had today is that we only have a finite amount of time. And again, like I say, we have lots of resources on our website here. So I just want to go through and find where I created those variables and what values I'm using. There we go. So we've got an email, and we've got a logo, and let's make sure that those assets exist. So in my design, let's take a look at my assets. I have Pittsburgh, all right, but I want no-code devs logo really quickly. Let me just zoom in here. Take a quick screenshot of this. And apologies now, just working off screen, but here's my NCD logo. And then in Thunkable, very easy to add an asset. That's my NCD logo. I'm sure that's a reasonable size. And it's PNG. So let's have a quick look at those blocks. NCD logo. .png. Cool. Okay. And let's try out this register new user. Job title is Airtable developer. Our company name is No-Code Devs. And again, this is something that I guess you could provide at the sign-up section as well, isn't it? So your job description, card, type. Yeah, full time. I think we should be able to submit that. And I suppose then from a UX perspective, probably the last thing we'd want to do is like clear out this form or have a little bit of a feedback or whatever to see does that work all right, or has it uploaded successfully, and yeah, that's kind of the idea there. So when you're finished with that, or when that's been created, what you're going to do is, maybe didn't like my date format there, what you're going to do then is like just clear out all of those individual text fields here. So let's get rid of the text and the company name and all of those things as well. So yeah, and I guess the main thing probably that we've glossed over here, that we skipped over, just mindful that we're kind of coming up towards the end of our session here, is the data validation. So what happens if somebody leaves one of these fields empty? You need to use some control flow statements here. You need to check, is the title empty, is the company empty, is the location empty, let's say, and you know, particularly some of those are going to be like essential, so you want to be able to link out to the actual website so that people can click on it and apply for the job, and that's probably maybe the last piece that's missing, yeah, if people wanted to work away at that, again, there's lots of examples of that both in our community and in our tutorials and stuff on like how to do that. So like I say here, pretty straightforward. You just be checking, is the text empty? Is this text input empty? And you can chain a whole bunch of those together, or you could do successive different checks here. Let's say lots of different ways to go about that. But that's the bare bones, let's say, there in I don't know, what are we, about 40 minutes or so, let's say, of taking a design from Figma, bringing it into Thunkable. We've got our Airtable bases prepared in advance. So again, this is, if you're not an Airtable expert, you could maybe connect with somebody in the no-code devs community or in the Thunkable community, and yeah, get them to kind of architect that for you. And then in relatively little time, we've been able to add a lot of logic here to our app, and that's really what we focused on, is like get stuff from the user interface and send it to Airtable, or the other way around, get information from Airtable and bring it back to Thunkable and to display it in the Thunkable app. So yeah, want to leave some time for questions. I know there's a lot of people on the call. I hope you kind of enjoyed that intro anyway to building a job board app. And if you have any questions in the chat, or is there a raise hands feature, Art, maybe that people might need if they want to be unmuted, or they want one of us to unmute themselves?
Yeah, 1 second here. I'm going to go ahead and unmute Paul. We'll try something a little different today. You can definitely throw your questions in the chat. We have a few minutes here. So I'm going to allow anyone to unmute themselves. So just feel free to unmute yourselves if you just want to ask a question verbally, or throw it in the chat and we can handle those for a few minutes. And, we'll also leave with a way to connect with us at No Code Devs or with Domhnall, after the fact, if you have a question that comes up, 2 hours later. So yeah, anyone can unmute or just throw your questions in the chat. This is definitely the time to ask. No question is a bad question for sure.
Yeah, I might. We're going to do like actually an office hours ourselves for Thunkable users next week, Art. Would you mind if I just pop the link in the chat?
Yeah, go for it. Yep.
Yeah, great. So yeah, like I say, the biggest constraint I suppose that we had here is on time today, and ideally this would probably be a 2 or 3 hour project, but just mindful that it's whatever, Thursday lunchtime or Thursday evening for some people, and that we don't have time to get super into the weeds. But like I say, we've got our sample project there, and the link that I've shared there, that's the registration for our Thunkable office hours. So if you want to experiment with the platform, if you're new to Thunkable, or if you want to play with this project, if you think it's interesting, by all means do, and then you can drop by next Wednesday. We'll be online, and if you have any questions or you get stuck anywhere along the way, actually I can see there's a few folks here from the Thunkable team, so hi to them, and yeah, we'll be able to help you out on that next week, if that makes sense.
Hi there.
Hey, Matt.
Hey, you guys mentioned a few of the benefits of using Airtables over something like Google Sheets, but if I'm teaching a class where I spent a whole unit diving deep on Google Sheets and all its functions and how to manipulate and understand data, would you suggest using that with Thunkable instead, or are the benefits of Airtable that much more that we should just scrap what we've learned and file it for spreadsheets only and then dive into Airtables? What would you suggest?
Yeah, well, like the nice thing, I suppose, as I kind of just alluded to on the call, was that, or on the webinar rather, was that you can also connect directly into Google Sheets. So in a classroom scenario, let's say it was math class and you wanted to like record data on like speed or height or distances or averages or something like that, you could build a UI in Thunkable and you could send it to Google Sheets. And then you could have your formula column or whatever in Sheets, and that could do all the simple statistics. And then you could have another GET request on the Thunkable side, and it could return back all of the results of the calculations that you've done in Google Sheets that way as well. So yeah, I wouldn't necessarily rush to throw it out, but yeah, one thing, like I said, that our users particularly like is that like multimedia capability. So like I was doing there for my job listings and my job logos and stuff, but yeah, I don't know. Do you have a specific use case or a specific outcome for your Google Sheets class, let's say, that you think could be transferred, or there be a natural progression there?
No, I just wondered if they already had a good sense of how to manipulate and store data in a sheet. If it would just, I guess, if you thought it was a one-to-one sort of transferable, other than for the multimedia stuff you'd mentioned, it was more powerful. That was all. So I think maybe you answered my question. Maybe we'll try a little both.
To be honest, well, some of the formulas you use in Google Sheets do work in Airtable as well. Because I used Google Sheets for a long time, a few years ago. Then I got into Airtable. I found it so easy to transfer over because it was quite similar to start off with. It's a good building block, but then you can add stuff later on, and extra functionality you can't get in Google Sheets, you can get in Airtable.
That's great. Thanks.
Cheers, man. Thanks for your question. Great question.
Yeah, maybe what we can do, Domhnall, is we can, whenever we send out the recording of this video, we can, assuming that you can make it happen, maybe we could, provide links to this project, the Figma project, whatever is open and accessible. We'll provide all those links so that, if you want a starting point, or if you want to make a job board type app, you can, start with this sort of like this base, and then you can deconstruct it, look at all the building blocks, look at all the data connections, and that hopefully will be helpful. If we can do that, we will definitely provide that in the video link when we send out the video.
Yeah. Feel free to drop a thumbs up or a yes or whatever in the chat there, folks. If you'd be interested in that, if you like Figma files or Thunkable files, or even links out to that Airtable base, even though my one was not as sophisticated or as fancy as Paul's with the automations and the interfaces. Yeah, we can definitely see some people are kind of interested in it. So yeah, we can. This is going to be one of our platform templates in the next couple of weeks anyway, Art. So yeah, it's all kind of open source or whatever, that we want people to do exactly what you were saying. Look at the blocks and look at how it's put together and customize it themselves then.
Great. Yeah, I think that we're running right up on time, so this is probably a good place to close. Why don't you just give a plug as to how they can reach you, the Thunkable community, of course, and then we will do the same, and we'll go ahead and wrap it up.
Yeah, perfect. So actually, let me drop a link in here for the Thunkable community, because, like I say, I see a couple of members here on the call, and people have dropped in and out. So that's where you can find staff and users alike and connect with us. Yeah, you'll see a number of us in the No Code Devs forum and community and stuff as well. And so yeah, we're always happy to connect with users for just in relation to Matt's question about working with students. There are dedicated sections within the community. So there's like a section for design, there's a section for asking about blocks, and there's also a section dedicated to Thunkable educators, folks who are using it in their classroom. And yeah, we've some members of the team who work with schools and colleges and coding clubs and stuff as well. So yeah, we're a small but mighty team, as we've been described before, and there's lots of folks there who can help you out with any of your questions, your inquiries that you might have.
Yeah, thanks so much. And this was really great. I think this is a really, whether you want to create a job board or something similar, some sort of, some sort of a data set that then, extends and displays in a native app. This should really give you a lot of ideas. And, as you can see, some of these elements were pre-built, but, in just a couple of hours, you can build, an app with quite a bit of logic, and you can have a backend that's super user-friendly, like Google Sheets or Airtable. And, I've used both, and yeah, Airtable does have some features Google Sheets that does not, but they're very similar. So, Matt, to your question, I think that, if your students are very familiar with Google Sheets, that certainly works fine, but those skills will transfer to Airtable. They're very similar. So you're not going to be reinventing the wheel, but I think that, as Domhnall said, there's also things, within Google Sheets that you could put in some sort of plugin that allows a media file. So if you're sort of deep in Google Sheets, then there's no worries there. But yeah, this was really great. Thanks so much again to everyone at Thunkable. And, I would encourage, I would just say that look, from the no-code dev side, look for some pretty exciting changes in 2022. And if you're not a member of our free community, I'll just drop a little hint. Go ahead and get in right now. This is the time to get in. We're going to be doing tons of free workshops and things like that. And if you get in now, you'll sort of get grandfathered access to a lot of these awesome workshops that we've done and things that we're working on next year. So go ahead and just register for a free account at nocodevs.com. I don't normally give big plugs, but we are going to be making some changes next year. So yeah, we'll go ahead and wrap it up, and look for this recording in the next couple of days. We'll go ahead and email it out to everyone.
Awesome. Thanks a million, Art. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, thanks, everyone.